where we gather to explore one of the most crucial issues of our time, climate finance. To announce the arrival of Yang Amat Berhormat Datuk Sri Haji Fadilah bin Haji Yusof, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Energy Transition and Water Transformation.
I would like to thank each of you for your dedication and contribution to this crucial cause. Together we can transform our climate ambitions into reality, creating a legacy of sustainability and resilience for generations to come.
Our hopes for the audience are to seek knowledge from the speakers, to network with fellow participants, and to use the insights they gain today for a greater cause.
With that, we officially open the Climate Finance Summit 2024. Thank you.
Empowering young Malaysians is to giving them the capacity to think for themselves. And yes, that's what we do at forums like this, like CFS. It's talk, but through talking, you think, but through thinking, you act.
This is the second Climate Finance Summit organized by the PFAA. Today's program went on very well. Keynote address by the Deputy Prime Minister, Datuk Sri Fadilah, who set the stage for the whole day's discussion actually.
Well, the challenges are there, but Malaysia has among the most pristine forests and mangroves in the world. More than 50% is primary forest coverage in the country. This has a pricing, so there are amazing carbon sinks. So first and foremost, you need to preserve those. Ensure that also Malaysia uses this carbon sink in its future schemes.
Bank Pembangunan is a developmental financial institution owned by the government. As such, we are here to support the government's initiatives in addressing climate change and sustainable financing. So our role specifically is to provide impact capital such that the projects or the initiatives that the government sees as important to achieve those objectives are realizable.
Maybank has been around for 64 years and we take pride in being partner for national development, not just in Malaysia but across countries throughout the region. Now that's a very important piece of document because not only is it a framework but it provides eligibilities and mechanisms on how we can provide solutioning for transition financing.
Opus is a subsidiary of EA Magenta. So basically Opus Consultant is in the engineering consultancy as well as asset management business. For the last decade, we have been in the energy efficiency business.
Part of the work, particularly for the research community, particularly for government, is to begin to figure out how much will climate financing cost, particularly, say, the cost of adaptation to sea level rise. No one has yet cracked that problem.
At Hydraulic Energy, we invest in renewable energy sector and we help Malaysian business to achieve their net zero ambition.
The Perdana Fellows Alumni Association of PFAA held the first edition of the summit last year to advance the climate agenda globally.
Therefore, PFAA organized this summit to discuss and ideate innovative solutions to finance a more sustainable future. This summit brings together all stakeholders in the field: policymakers, businesses, regulators, financiers, as well as members of the public, fostering dialogues and collaboration for better climate financing.
The Perdana Fellows Alumni Association continues to foster a culture of collaboration and excellence, bridging the gap between youth leaders and the realms of public and private sectors and NGOs.
Dekat sini, apa yang saya belajar pada hari ini adalah macam mana kita communicate, macam mana kita bekerjasama dengan kumpulan, macam-macam halangan yang kita kena lalu tapi kita tempuh dengan satu pasukan.
Hari ini saya rasa suatu pengalaman yang barulah sebab kita orang handle budak-budak yang istimewa kan. So pengalaman ni amat berharga bagi saya dan juga jarang untuk kita dapat. So ni kira macam special untuk saya jugalah.
Hari ini saya dan rakan-rakan kohort 16 berjaya kumpul sampah sebanyak 20 kg untuk dikitas semula. Kami juga belajar macam mana nak asingkan sampah. Kami tahu ada yang plastik yang boleh dikitas semula, ada yang plastik yang tidak boleh dikitas semula dan sebagainya. Tim program amazing.
Sebelum ni kan saya tak ada knowledge dan tak ada preparation untuk masuk alam pekerjaan atau alam internship. Dekat carnival kerjaya ni saya dah dapatlah tempat internship yang kena dengan saya punya related courses lah.
Hari ini kita belajar tentang pengurusan kewangan yang efektif.
Two words to describe team program is, I think, fun and inspiring.
Di sini saya belajar how to handle kanak-kanak lah.
Saya belajar cara untuk menanam pokok, cara nak menjaga tumbuh-tumbuhan lah yang mostly endangered species. Saya rasa sangat menarik intern di sini sebab saya belajar banyak benda tentang bola, tentang kelab Selangor.
Kita orang manage surat-surat hantar kepada organisasi lain untuk collab ataupun buat program lah sebelum event tu dilakukan.
Sebagai seorang pelajar perakaunan, saya dapat mengendalikan dokumen-dokumen seperti invoice, transaction yang berkaitan.
The SAY Aspire program is held annually with the main goal of marketing Malaysian products to the global market. This initiative also doesn't just help businesses sell their product overseas, but it also empowers Selangor entrepreneurs to take their products to the next level with the aim to bring Selangor to the global.
Alhamdulillah, saya syukur sangat. Saya betul-betul tak sangka dipilih sebagai pemenang sebab kalau kita lihat memang semua peserta sangat-sangat hebat. Saya nak ucapkan setinggi-tinggi terima kasih yang tak terhingga kepada organizer yang dah mengatur program yang cukup baik, betul-betul unleash the potential of the entrepreneurs yang masuk sebagai participant. Dan saya nak dedicatkan terima kasih kepada kami punya coach and mentor kerana mereka inilah yang menjadi pengajar, menjadi titik asas menyampaikan ilmu sehingga saya yakin.
I would like to say thank you to CA Aspire for the program and for being very patient with us, entrepreneurs, for being there, very supportive with us as well. My plan for the company is go to overseas so more of our other consumers out there can try Malaysian flavors as well as working with more local illustrators to bring more of Malaysian artists overseas as well.
Dan terima kasih kerana memberi peluang kepada kami Citra Keso. Pencapaian sangat-sangat besar sebab kita adalah satu company yang kecil. Untuk compete dengan brand-brand yang sebesar ni, kita rasa feel honoured. Tapi dengan join program ini dan memenangi top 3 ni, membuka mata kita yang kita pun boleh berjaya juga macam diorang. Special appreciation buat coaches yang dah guide kami daripada awal sampai akhir. Tanpa diorang, siapalah kita juga untuk memenangi.
So thank you CA Aspire. So validate all our ideas and give all the opportunity to us.
Sidang hadirin sekalian, selamat datang ke pusingan akhir Liga Usahawan OKU Selangor Selid edisi kelima. Selid merupakan liga keusahawanan bagi orang
that have been provided. Okay, we also ask
for the cooperation and attention to all of our honored guests to ensure that the event proceeds smoothly for today. And for the first, kindly ensure that your mobile phones are switched to silent or vibrate mode to avoid for any disruption through the event. Okay, the next, we kindly to request that you refrain from shaking hands with His Highness and just simply merafak sembah as a gesture of respect. Okay, just show your hand, palm of hand here, just straight away. Okay, no need to bow. And then guests are also advised not to sit cross-legged.
Assalamualaikum and good morning everyone. Welcome to the Climate Finance Summit 2024. Now this is where we gather to explore one of the most crucial issues of our time, climate finance. To announce the arrival of Yang Amat Berhormat Datuk Sri Haji Fadilah bin Haji Yusof, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Energy Transition and Water Transformation.
I would like to thank each of you for your dedication and contribution to this crucial cause. Together we can transform our climate ambitions into reality, creating a legacy of sustainability and resilience for generations to come.
Our hopes for the audience are to seek knowledge from the speakers, to network with fellow participants, and to use the insights they gain today for a greater cause.
With that, we officially open the Climate Finance Summit 2024. Thank you.
Empowering young Malaysians is to giving them the capacity to think for themselves. And yes, that's what we do at forums like this, like CFS. It's talk, but through talking, you think, but through thinking, you act.
This is the second Climate Finance Summit organized by the PFAA. Today's program went on very well. Keynote address by the Deputy Prime Minister, Datuk Sri Fadilah, who set the stage for the whole day's discussion actually.
Well, the challenges are there, but Malaysia has among the most pristine forests and mangroves in the world. More than 50% is primary forest coverage in the country. This has a pricing, so there are amazing carbon sinks. So first and foremost, you need to preserve those. Ensure that also Malaysia uses this carbon sink in its future schemes.
Bank Pembangunan is a developmental financial institution owned by the government. As such, we are here to support the government's initiatives in addressing climate change and sustainable financing. So our role specifically is to provide impact capital such that the projects or the initiatives that the government sees as important to achieve those objectives are realizable.
Maybank has been around for 64 years and we take pride in being partner for national development, not just in Malaysia but across countries throughout the region. Now that's a very important piece of document because not only is it a framework but it provides eligibilities and mechanisms on how we can provide solutioning for transition financing.
Opus is a subsidiary of EM Magenta. So basically, Opus Consultant is in the engineering consultancy as well as asset management business. For the last decade, we have been in the energy efficiency business.
Part of the work, particularly for the research community, particularly for government, is to begin to figure out how much will climate financing cost, particularly, say, the cost of adaptation to sea level rise. No one has yet cracked that problem.
At Hydraulic Energy, we invest in renewable energy sector and we help Malaysian business to achieve their net zero ambition.
The Perdana Fellows Alumni Association of PFAA held the first edition of the summit last year to advance the climate agenda globally.
Therefore,
thank you everyone for once again. I would like to ask for the cooperation for all the for our participant for today. Let us fill in the front row first. So I believe in this side are almost occupied. So on the other side left there, so there's still a few places left. So I will ask for the cooperation for each and every one of you for us to fill in the empty seats first. Jadi sebelum itu saya mohon kerjasama saudari sekalian untuk kita memenuhi ruangan kursi yang berada di hadapan terlebih dahulu sebelum kita teruskan untuk majlis kita selepas ini. Kalau dapat diperlihatkan di sebelah kiri saya di hujung sana sekali, masih lagi terdapat beberapa ruangan yang kosong. Jadi saya mohon kerjasama bagi saudari sekalian ataupun yang berada di belakang sana sekali untuk kita penuhkan ruangan yang berada di hadapan terlebih dahulu. Terima kasih. Thank you for your cooperation. Yang dihormat dan sidang hadirin dipohon berdiri. Mengumumkan keberkatan tiba Duli Yang Teramat Mulia Tengku Amir Shah Ibni Sultan Sharafuddin Idris Shah Al-Haj Raja Muda Selangor, diiringi oleh para tetamu kehormat masuk ke dalam Dewan. Para hadirin dipersilakan duduk. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan selamat pagi. Menghadap Duli Yang Teramat Mulia Tengku Amir Shah Ibni Sultan Sharafuddin Idris Shah Al-Haj Raja Muda Selangor. Ampun tuanku, beribu ampun, sembah patik harap diampun. Patik merafak sembah, memohon ampun limpah perkenan Duli Yang Teramat Mulia tuanku untuk patik meneruskan majlis dalam bahasa Inggeris. Ampun tuanku. Duli Yang Teramat Mulia Tengku Amir Shah Ibni Sultan Sharafuddin Idris Shah Al-Haj Raja Muda of Selangor and Royal Patron of Selangor Youth Community say, Dr. Zaina binti Sharif, Deputy Director General Youth Development, National Department of Youth and Sports, Dr. Johan Kamal Hamidun, Chief Executive Officer of Selangor Football Club and Board of Director of Selangor Youth Community say, Muhammad Izrin Nabil Ismail, Secretary General of Football Association of Selangor FAS, Mr. Aiman Shafiq bin Nazri, Chief Executive Officer of Selangor Youth Community SAY say, Mr. Timur Guzman, Deputy Head of Mission, Delegation of the European Union to Malaysia, Mr. Syed Muhammad Arif bin Syed Abdul Rahim, President of Perdana Fellow Alumni Association PFAA, respected guests, ladies and gentlemen. His Highness, distinguished guests, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good day to everyone. All praise to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala for His boundless grace. We are gathered here today for a meaningful event. It is a great honor and pride that I welcome each and every one of you to today's speaker series with the title Youth Empower, Transforming Communities, Inspiring Change, which is organized by the Perdana Fellow Alumni Association PFAA together with our strategic partner Selangor Youth Community SAY, Football Association Selangor FAS, and also Asia School of Business ASB. We are especially fortunate to have His Highness Raja Muda of Selangor with us today, who will be sharing his insightful perspective and knowledge on this important topic. Today's speaker series is intended to provide an in-depth discussion and new insight into youth empowerment, which I am certain will greatly benefit us all and broaden our understanding of the subject. Without further delay, I would like to invite our moderator speaker series for today, Ms. Fanit Shara Kampong, Vice President of Perdana Fellows Alumni Association, to the stage. Please welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming His Highness Tengku Amir Shah Ibni Sultan Sharafuddin Idris Shah Al-Haj Raja Muda of Selangor and Royal Patron of the Selangor Youth Community SAY. Everyone, for once again, let us give a round and applause.
Thank you, Mr. MC. And thank you everybody for joining us on Sunday morning. Tuanku, these are all the youth that make extra effort to wake up at 8 a.m. to be here on time, to actually hear you out. So it's a very cozy and intimate audience for today. All right, Tuanku, how are you feeling?
Yeah, great. Thank you so much for having me here this morning. It's a great opportunity to speak to everyone here today. Thank you.
Right. I understand that you had a long weekend, you know. In fact, last night was still with the Football Association. And it's a win for, between Selangor FC and PDRM, right?
Yeah, it was not an easy win. I think within the first 20 minutes, we were already one man down. But the boys showed perseverance, and they fought really hard and managed to come home with a 3-2. So
that's
we
impressive.
have the second leg for the finals in a week or so, I think. I can't remember.
So I hope you had a good night now, because you won.
Stressful.
Dah menang.
Not easy to sleep after a football match.
Oh really? So the adrenaline rush.
Adrenaline is rushing, and
so I hope it carries on until today lah.
Yeah.
All right. So Tuanku, as a start for today, just a context to all our audience, the topic today is youth power, transforming communities, inspiring change. But from time to time, I also have to check my cheat code here. Cannot be remembering all. Alright. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. Today, our topic is actually more on the youth empowerment topic, whereby we want to get the first-hand experience, hearing Tuanku here in terms of your experience, your leadership, your inspiration, and also aspiration, words and advice to all the youth here in the room. So, as to start the context to all our guests here today, I suppose everybody is youth here. Even if you don't look like one, we are always youth at heart. Right, Mr. Timo? Right, amazing, that's great. That's the spirit. So, what is your inspiration, Tuanku? Championing the youth empowerment, especially through association like SAY or Selangor FA. How did you get started? And why are you still in this journey?
That's a wonderful question, thank you. I think, the ultimate inspiration is trying to unlock our full potential. This is something that I've been growing up with, from my father, Tuanku Sultan. He's always saying, you've got to succeed to your full potential. And that's something that I've been taught by teachers and other educators, instructors from the army. And so this kind of inspired me of trying to understand what sort of area of work I wanted to get involved in. And so early on, when I finished my education, I came back to Malaysia, and I was trying to understand first of all, who is Shah Alam? Who is my home? What are the people there? And through a quick study, we understood that 70% of the capital is under 35 years old. So it's a young growing population. That's actually kind of where SAY came about. It was actually Shah Alam Youth originally. But we kept the name because I like the idea, it's very catchy, it's your say, it's our say. But we obviously had to grow it out into more of a slang or broader focus.
Oh, Shah Alam Youth, sounds like a football club already.
Yes.
Personally, maybe I like Shah Alam Youth better lah. But since, Aiman, where are you from? Are you from Shah Alam? Klang. Oh, okay. So it should be the current name, Selangor. Otherwise, later Aiman cannot fit in lah. Tuanku, I love the fact that to start off this journey, it's more of finding the full potential and being resilient, And we see that there's two organizations that you're very focused on, in touch with, which is the SAY and also the Football Association, which is focusing on the grassroots level. Let's move a bit to the SAY. I went through a bit on the website, and I understand that SAY Focus Group for youth empowerment is more on arts, culture, penetrating the youth through things that is not typical youth association would work on. If I can take an example, Perdana Fellow focused on policy, youth empowerment in terms of leadership, but SAY approach is a bit niche, and the positioning is also a bit unique. Right? What's the inspiration of how it's designed to be that way?
I think when we first started out, I tried to leverage on my role as Rajamuda, and I saw that I had the sort of superpower ability of convening people together, bringing people on all sides of the aisle, whether that's local government, private sectors, and community. And when we were engaging with the community, a lot of the times these other NGOs and other charities, they basically had two major hurdles. The first hurdle was either issues with funding. It was hard for them to convince the private sector that their idea is good and that they need help. And And the other key factor was going through the red tape. And Malaysian red tape can be very complicated, especially that we have 14 states and we have a federal system. So someone who's not very familiar with local government, again, can get a lot of these hurdles where they want to host running events or cycling events. They're unable to get the right permits in order to host these type of events. So we started by engaging with other NGOs that need help. Actually, one of our very first sporting events was jiu-jitsu. And we supported the sort of the Jiu-Jitsu Malaysia sort of association because they needed an a location to host an event. So we then collaborated with local malls around PJ and say like, look, can we have this space for free because we'll bring more footfall into your mall? And they were very happy to do it because it's youth, it's sports, and it's engaging. So, you know, so it started off like that, is where, you know, we wanted to work with other charities and other groups and help try to elevate them and connect them with the wider community in Selangor through the main three key stakeholders.
So it's quite an accidental, but turns out to be a meaningful partnership. And it starts with jiu-jitsu.
It started with jiu-jitsu.
Out of all kind of things.
As a sort of an events group. But we've also had a, you know, personal relationship with Sunway Group. So they've been a strong supporter, not only just sponsors and donors, but they too have aspirations and inspirations to help the youth. You know, they have a very built out universities and medical centers and health, and they have a very young and vibrant community, and they're very much into the UN SDG goals. So they're very much into sustainability and capacity building for the community. So we were kind of aligned in that way, and I shared, you know, what we want to achieve in the future. So they've been supporting us as well and collaborating and giving some space and support.
I suppose the credit goes to the one who pitched. Tuanku, you pitched really well.
Yeah. I pitched personally for all of them. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. So, you know, that's very unique about jiu-jitsu. So anybody here do martial arts? No one? Oh, someone. What do you do? Jiu-jitsu. Oh my God. I know how difficult it is because I enrolled once in the first class. I quit the next thing because of the first class is just all about rolling. And I failed miserably, and you know, the next day full of a body ache and cannot even wake up in the morning. So the fact that, you know, Say started with jiu-jitsu is a really, really unique position. And I hope for perhaps no one, you know, sometimes people tak nak mengaku kan, but if you're a martial art fans, know for sure that we have RMS here who's been supporting lah. Again, will be joining and support all the programs.
Yes.
All right, Tuanku. So we move a bit, since you mentioned about, you know, the collaboration and whatnot. If you look at Say, right, there's a lot of program in Say. And if you can share a bit to the audience, what are the example of Say initiatives, and what are the high-level impact that, you know, definitely move the mark and make a difference in Selangor?
So I think one of the sort of proudest ones that we have managed to collaborate with, again, this is another program that we didn't create, but we've collaborated with the UK, then it was called the Princess Trust, now it's called the King's Trust International. The program is called Teams Program, and this initiative is a 9 weeks program to sort of bring back the confidence in the youth. The main target is sort of youth at risk. The risk part could be people that are unemployed, people that are fallen into the wrong community in terms of drugs or, you know, gangs and stuff like that. So we try to touch these youth at risk by giving them sort of a structured program where they learn teamwork, communications, presentation skills, and even planning skills, where they actually have a week where as a cohort they have to plan what community service that they want to do. So it ranged from baking cookies and selling them to car washes to going to old folks' homes. And this was all led by the youth. We didn't help them in prompting them. We just give them support and say, yep, these are available to you. We have enough funding to help you there. And finally, at the end of the Teams program, we have a lot of collaborations with our partners by giving them a 2 weeks internship. And we see that a lot of young people, especially the ones at risk, they never had the mindset or the opportunity to go and get internships, to build their skills. And we call these skills either vital skills or essential skills. Another way I've been heard is described as the 3 C's, which is communication, cooperation, and collaboration. So we are building on those sort of foundational skills and giving them that sort of new energy of hope, because some of them as well, they come to us with little hope and thinking that, you know, they're wondering, they got a degree but they can't get a job, and they're wondering whether they're doing the right thing in life. So I guess a key pillar to that is also a lot of mentorship. We have a very good sort of mentorship network that we build out. So yeah, so that was a Teams program, which, you know, looks at a wide variety of sort of
I understand
skills.
you also touch on the disabled communities, right?
So on the
Through
disabled
SAY.
communities, we have Say Lead, which is an entrepreneurship program. And this is the idea that the disabled community can be self-reliant, self-sustaining on their own. So we help disabled entrepreneurs to give them sort of essential business skills. So it ranges from 3 months to 6 months of a program of weekly mentorship and training. And we can see their growth of their business goes up dramatically. And some even pivot completely, where they also too become mentors for the next cohort.
That's great. That's what we want to see, right? In
Yeah.
terms of their growth and where they are today, how they can give back, you know?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And yeah, so that also leads to, Say Aspire, which is sort of the export-ready business sort of program. So the idea that I've been telling the team is that, as Selangor, we should not be competing with other states, but we should be competing on a much higher platform. We should be at the level of ASEAN, EU, Middle East, and Africa. So these are the level of business that we should be aspiring to, because when I go through my travels, especially like into Europe, and you look at the fruits, it's all made in Thailand, right? And I'm always wondering, like, why is it not made in Malaysia? Or somewhere, why is it not made in Selangor? Because we have all these products, and we have very good products, but we're not able to market it and package it in a way where it's sort of on an international level of standards. Our local standards we were very more relaxed, but we need to reach that higher aspiration, and that's where Say Aspire is, that we're trying to help young businesses. Usually they're ranging from 1 to 3 years old of a business, and again, they go through this sort of business training, and then they do like a little Shark Tank pitch style, and to me and a group.
Oh, that's even more nerve-wracking.
Yeah. And then the winners, then we go around, bring them to Brunei, bring them to the Middle East, to Europe, and we have also great success stories there of bringing Malaysian businesses out.
That's great. I mean, in fact, we have our representative from EU here, Mr. Timo, who have been, trying to also uplift the community and see how we can actually work together with EU. And perhaps Aiman can have a chat and see how, you can create much more competitive environment in terms of the entrepreneurship at Selangor Aspire as well, right? If you look at, say, in terms of your target audience, it's very grassroots, I suppose. Just now we had the team program. It touched more on the youth at risk, and then you have the Say Lead, more on disabled communities, Say Aspire is more entrepreneurs. I suppose there are entrepreneurs in this room as well. So it's very on the touch, grassroots kind of thing, And I understand that you are also a very big supporter of sports, grassroots sports, and it's football. Why? Why football? Why not pickleball? Is that rage these days? Yeah.
Well, I mean, football is one of those sports that, throughout the whole, it's probably the most popular sport in the world. And I think at an early age, at like 5 years old, a lot of people have memories of kicking a ball or something like that, where your parents are, bringing you to the field or something and you're just kicking a ball. Whether it's not formal football, but it's that form of ball and kicking, right? So we've all dabbled at some point in our lives this sport. What's interesting about football is the community that it holds, the supporters, everyone that wants to get behind the team, they want to support it, they want to cheer for it, and they wear the colors, they sing the songs. So football has this unusual phenomenon of like these sort of ultras, you could say.
All this chant.
Yeah, and you learned that from school, and I go to school football games, quite a bit, from under 12s to under 16s, and you wonder like how we get all these chances because the schools are learning it. They are sort of the testing of that area where they're building new chants. Personally, I'm not so much very good on feet and ball. I'm more with hands and racket as well. So I started with squash. I was inspired by Nicole David when I was growing up. So I picked up squash when I was like 15, 14, and I carried that on throughout university. So I played squash in a university level, and then I started switching into newer rackets to tennis, now to paddle, pickleball. So yeah, I'm more enjoying on the rackets, but football has this unbelievable touch and able to inspire people and bring people and communities together, young and old.
Yeah, I mean, when you mentioned just now that you are from squash, I can see some of us are like, "Aw." And then when you mentioned that you are changing your racket now into paddle and pickleball, everybody was like brighten up, hoping to see you in the court one day. Right, so, when you mention about football, yeah, I suppose that all of us at one point of time have actually kicked the ball, whether you're a boy or you're a girl, me in fact included, but eventually turns into basketball, not good with coordinating balls with leg. So much respect to people who play football. It's not an easy game. And I do agree, Tuanku, in fact, the chanting part, right? One thing I realize is in Malaysia, we take the chanting, the ultras very seriously. We don't need those cheer girls, where they do all this dancing, right? I mean, it's a good thing, but in Malaysia, the most important part is the group of ultras. Yeah. It's giving goosebumps. Yeah. If they are missing in the stadium, you can feel it. Yeah. And everybody will be like, where's the ultras? Huh? Yeah. In fact, I went to Selangor Red Giant esports Mobile Legend last year. Wow. There was also ultras in there. Yeah. And they were, I was learning how to cheers and learning Selangor Red Giant chant from them. In an esports mode. It's not even football. So I can only imagine how it'd be in football situation, it's much more. That's why Tuanku have adrenaline rush, cannot sleep. Because he just came back from Selangor and PDRM. Nasib baik menang. Nasib baik menang. Alhamdulillah menang Tuanku. So, you see, in football, you have the FC, you have the, we have the CEO here as well. That's more on professional league. Right. So at the community and grassroots level, what is the initiative that FA is doing, focusing to uplift the sports community?
So before I actually ventured into Selangor FA, Selangor FC, Selangor Youth Community, we created Selangor Champions League, SCL. This was because we saw there's obviously a big community in football, and especially in the sort of non-professional footballers, the weekend clubs, the weekend ballers, you could say. So we thought, hey, let's create a Champions League sort of format because there's so many in the Klang Valley. There is like at least 16 or so of private leagues. So we contacted all of them and said, hey, the winner of your league, we want to take them and create a Champions League and see amongst the Selangor or Klang Valley who is the real champion, who is the strongest of them all.
Champion, Klang. Ke Shah Alam.
I don't know. Now has been, I don't know who's the recent winner.
Who's the recent winner? Oh,
Cyberjaya.
Hidup Bandar.
So, yeah, this was like a couple weeks ago. So the Champions League was to promote sort of, again, grassroots football and giving them this sort of new life of energy. And we sort of like semi-professionalized it. So we even had like pundits that we found on YouTube. So they were interviewing the players. So then eventually, as the league was going on, they started turning up early. They actually start warming up. They were speaking as if they were professional footballers during interview.
That's great.
They were, cleaning themselves up and being more proud of the sport. So it was really exciting to watch and, grow on that. Other areas that we're also very proud of in Selangor FA that we've recently initiated was also football for women. We created the Women's Super League, which is basically the Selangor's Women's League, and is initiated with only just 10 teams. And we actually had one invitational from Negeri Sembilan, because we saw that what the issue with women's football in Malaysia was a lot because of funding, and a lot of the cost in football is the transportation and hotels. So we thought, okay, I think if we can just make it a little bit smaller in terms of location, we're able to then attract more women into sort of semi-professional football.
Maybe I'll join that soon.
Yeah.
There's a chance for me, I suppose. Well, I'm at the late age of youth bracket. My bones might not be standing it, but maybe I'll go there and just cheers.
No, everyone is welcome. I think that's the beauty of the sport, that all ages are welcome, all abilities are welcome. So and it's just a good way of engaging with community, with people, and playing as a team. And it's just really fun. I mean, I love playing games, whether it's board games, sports. I think games is such an important part of a community because it brings people together. It breaks down barriers. It takes away all this sort of white noise that we have in politics, especially. And we just like come down and look face to face and just, have a good game.
Yeah, I mean, Malaysians are always united when it comes to sports. Everybody in front of the TV, when it comes to sports, will basically be together, I suppose, right? But I think it's very, very interesting, the fact that you mentioned just now in Selangor Champion League, the sports that used to be a bit more chill and laid back, and now it changed into something that built discipline. Because you mentioned just now they start dressing up, start to, coming early and warm up. Everybody start taking it seriously. And I think that's the beautiful journey on how sports has actually evolved, at least, in the state of Selangor, because that's the only information that I know at this point of time. Perhaps after this, I will tour around the state and ask around if, other state is also evolving. But I'm very, very sure that Selangor is the one, the pioneer in comes to sports, grassroots development. When it comes to sports, there's also the community in sports. We're talking about coaches and also the referees. Yeah. How do you build actually these people up? Because more games means you need more coach.
Yeah, definitely. We need more officials and referees. Actually, those are sort of the unsung heroes of all sports. Recently, we've been collaborating with the city of PJ and Subang. And we've got sort of built out more facilities, more fields that we can do these sort of coaching and training in. And we also have sort of seminar rooms and spaces where we can then develop a coaching license and referee license as well. We've been constantly trying to evolve and set new standards, and pamphlets and books on best practices, when a referee should be refereeing for certain groups, because there are so many leagues out there. Some of them have kind of also the wrong idea of what football really is, and they're more just trying to commercialize and take advantage. So we warn and let our communities know, like, okay, if you want to get involved, but you represent the slang or badge, so you make sure you referee and coach well, because there's a lot of reputation at stake as well. We've seen examples where parents are fighting at a football match because there's 40,000 ringgit at stake. The prize pool is 40,000 ringgit.
Now the parents become competitive.
Exactly.
Wow.
But is that right to put so much money on a children's football game? So it's kind of putting the wrong incentive, the wrong ideas. But there are ways they're trying to attract the best kids into their league.
Well, I suppose now parents also become very competitive as much as their kids are involved.
Yeah.
For all of us here today, we are youth, but at the same time, most of us are young parents. Just make sure that we are not part of that competitiveness. Give way to our kids and don't take their space lah. Can So otherwise, Tuanku will have to, have the news of people trying to fight over the kids punya winning championship punya money lah. Doesn't sound good lah. So Tuanku, you see, a lot of youth here today, there's a mixture. Some of them are the youth leaders, I suppose. Some of them are also leading a lot of initiatives. What are the key success factors that actually ensure this youth-led project create a lasting and sustainable impression in whatever that they're doing?
I think learning for the last probably 8 years in this sort of field, one of the key success factors, I would say, is on the area of mentorship. Because we're working with a lot of people at risk, that's lost their confidence or has been in the wrong community, wrong environment. So they need mentors. And traditionally, I always thought mentors are like senior professors, teachers are like on the retirement side of age. But then when we open up and asking that we want mentors to join, and we had like a huge flood of applications, hundreds of people. And when we started running the program, I noticed some of the mentors were young, like my age. I'm like thinking to myself, can I be a mentor really for someone who's only just 5 years or 6 years younger than me? So I asked them, why are you a mentor? Or what inspired you to be a mentor? And the answer was really beautiful, is the fact that from a young age, from school, from university, we've been taught this idea of volunteering, right? We've been, whether it's gotoroyong or helping out your mosque, this person has reached their level in the work life, where she's unable to sort of sustain that volunteering work and have a meaningful impact. So she's like, okay, at least for mentoring, it's very personal. It's over WhatsApp, it's over the phone, over email. She's able to give back to the community more personally to someone by being a mentor, by giving guidance on how to apply, how to write your CV, what things to ask and say. So I think having a good mentorship and or capacity building into your program is really key. Another key part, I think, is also collaboration. I'm a very big, firm believer on collaboration. There are a lot of NGOs and a lot of charities in Malaysia. So, find someone that's sort of in your field and work with them. Work together and share the load in a way. And of course, having sort of real world impact is important. I think it's to find some sort of idea or program that you are inspired to do as well, because there's going to be times that it's going to be tough, that you're going to need resilience. I think we talked a little bit about resilience before. And, this is sort of, I think, an underrated sort of value, because resilience is a good thing to be, but it's extremely painful to be in. Being resilient is not easy by definition. You would want to give up. And because you're always in this sort of bubble of the unknown, you know, trying to go from unknown to known, the learning cycle. So, yeah.
Definitely, in order to create a real world impact, you need that resilient character. In fact, I believe everybody in this hall, the youth in this hall, have that resilience because they went against all the odds to come here on Sunday morning. Please give a round of applause for yourself. Right. So I'm very, very interested when you mentioned about, of course, one of the most important part is mentorship. We go into collaboration and also making sure that the work that we do create an impact. In a term of what a lot of youth organizations do kind of program today is just to avoid short sendiri when you run a program, right? So collaboration. So you mentioned just now you work with Sunway, you have all the supports. How do you position, say, in terms of reaching out to these partners? Because most important part when you want to get a collaboration is having a strong narrative. So how do you drive that conversation to get these people to work together?
That's a good question. I think the collaboration part is having a well thought out plan on whatever program you're doing, and having a very clear objectives. It's not necessarily about just trying to grow. I know we're in a capitalist market, and it's easy for us to have this sort of idea that we need to be growing 10, 20% year on year. More people need to be applying every year. That not necessarily is always the good thing to do. It's not very sustainable, not always sustainable. And to make collaboration work, you need to know each other's sort of limits. Some collaborations, you can only do 100 people in your program. Doing 150 will break everything. So just keep doing 100 until you can grow capacity in terms of your team. I see collaboration is super important, and like I was saying, it helps bring community together. You get to see who else is in your environment, who else is in your society that's working in the same area, and you can share the resource. There are good examples of sort of non-NGO work, like for example in Sabak Bernam, up north in Selangor. We have the best, highest yield of rice per hectare anywhere in Malaysia. And why is there success? Is because of collaboration. The community there work together, even though it's not their own farm, but they will help each other. It's that very old school mindset of, in the kampung of like goto royong, literally. And they share not only just their time and effort, but they share the machinery. These machineries are millions and millions of dollars, but they share that. And by having that collaboration, they then collectively, as a whole, have had the highest yield throughout Malaysia. And now Malaysia is trying to replicate this and look at what is their magic sauce in a way that they managed to do. So it's not just good water, good soil, but I think it's good community that has built that collaboration.
And like you mentioned just now, finding the common ground so that you can bring people together. And we are not towards the end yet. It's just that I want to get the tech team, if you can display the QR for Q&A, because we are about to move to our Q&A session shortly. Right, Tuanku, we have actually, in my brain, right, there's these three pillars that we're going to talk about. We start with your inspiration, and then we touch a bit on the organization, on SAYS, and also Selangor FA. Towards the end, before we conclude and we go into the Q&A session, I would, get your thoughts on your aspiration as the future ruler of Selangor, because, first, most importantly, is not easy to meet you as well. I understand that this is Tuanku's first public appearance after so long, speaking in public. I think the last one was during Youth Employability Forum somewhere in KLCC. I think that was about before COVID, I suppose. Right? So it's been a while. So we are actually lucky to see him in real person, sitting here and talking to us It's not something that you can wake up in the morning and then you get to see him, you know. We're very honored. Thank you for, coming here as well. And, for the youth here in the room, right, there's a lot of ideas. Youth have a lot of ideas. They don't know how to start. What would be your word of advice to them? How do you get started?
How to get started? Ooh. I think this is a challenge all the time, I feel. Just getting started on a new idea, a new initiative. You start meeting new people and you get this sort of inspiration. Okay, I want to get healthy, or I really want to get good at this sport or this skill. I think it's trying to find a good team. Because in order to get started, you can't be working alone. Having a good team that you can trust, that you can delegate work with, and that you have a shared vision. I think this is sort of the beginning of the recipe on getting any good program or any good business going, is having a team with you.
Well, that's the first to start, and that's the toughest to execute, to be honest. And that take this opportunity to network around with like-minded people, and you might be surprised to see there's a lot of people who share your same ideas, and that's how you get started. Who knows, this program is the first breakthrough for the bigger programs onward, coming from the youth. Now, Tuanku, the youth in this room is divided into two segments. There's emerging youth, which is the early age of the youth, and there are also people like me towards the conclusion of the youth age. Yeah? So I'm already at going into, I don't want to mention my age lah. Definitely, if you know the youth bracket, I'm towards the end already. And for these people like youth who are at the a bit more matured level, I suppose, perhaps already have something that they are working on something. But how do we actually scale it up to create more impact? What word of advice can you share?
Other than obviously looking at partnerships and building your community, it's about also trying to evaluate and adapt. I think it's really key to have this time. People actually get too caught up in this sort of cycle or rat race or whatever you want to call it, where you're just so focused going ahead. You're so focused on build, but you need to take time to take stock and see what's going on and have an honest evaluation. This is a good example where when I started going into the professional football, I did a 3-day town hall workshop style with over 100 people coming from various backgrounds in football community, whether it's the presidents of fan clubs, sponsors, previous and future potential sponsors, to even developers in sort of the national football development programs in Malaysia. And we asked ourselves, where are we going wrong? Where can we grow? What do we need to fix? And we broke it down into sort of key sort of pillars that we could understand, and wrote down actionable initiatives that we need to take in order to build the club back up where it is today. So I think evaluating and adapting is one of those things that needs to be built into your time so that you can understand your program. And of course, what I was trying to say earlier is about empowering others. Training, mentorship, leadership. Leadership it's not always holding on to the rein, but it's also learning how to let go of that rein and trust the people that you have around you that are going to do the things that you expect.
Definitely, when you already have something in hand and you want to scale up, the ball game is different. And like you mentioned, it requires a lot of planning as well. And of course, resilience is the recipe of success, like you mentioned just now, right? Yeah. So, Tuanku, as a conclusion of the question today, I have a few more questions, but I think this is the highlight. So, as the future ruler of Selangor, what kind of legacy that you aspire to build, particularly in youth empowerment and community development? How do you want to shape the next generation of Selangor?
I see a vision that Selangor is where the young people are able to fulfill their opportunities, fulfill their sort of full potential, regardless of their background or anything like that. That Selangor is a community that is Malaysia. All over Malaysia, they come to Selangor to look for education, to look for opportunities. So I see that Selangor is Malaysia as well. And I want to be able to sort of foster sort of an environment where the youth can thrive, build a future where it's more inclusive, more prosperous, and a sustainable state, a compassionate state, compassionate leaders. I think that's something that's becoming more rare to this day. So, yeah. So I hope people in Selangor can have a more positive outlook and look to each other for support and be proud of each other's work and not sort of just take each other down.
So that's the word of advice for all of you in this hall. And when you mention, I strongly agree as well. Selangor is the place where it's very vibrant, a lot of opportunities. There's a lot of youth that are migrating into Selangor, me included. I'm not from Selangor. I'm from a Siamese local community, very minority. I think most of us in this room also don't know my community names lah. So I'm here all the way from Penang, Kedah, those areas where it's more closer to Thailand. Definitely there's a lot of opportunity here. And I suppose, like you mentioned just now, you have a lot of youth adoption from other states that you're taking care as well. And it's very happy to hear that, it's very important for them to fulfill their potential as well. So we have Q&A from the audience. I'm just waiting for my iPad to work on the QR. But otherwise, well, there's a lot of, I'm just curious. This is a curious question of mine. So as someone of, in your position, a Raja Muda Selangor, you're a leader, a lot of people look up to you as a role model, How do you balance your responsibilities and at the same time staying true to who you are, what you truly want, and what's your personal value? How do you balance that?
I think from early age, I've been sort of drilled into this idea of having sort of values. So I think that sort of keeps me grounded. My upbringing through, my parents, we've always been, my parents have been trying to teach me to be, humble in a way that's, not always to be self-reliant, like I like to do stuff on my own as well. I don't like to always be looked after. I think there's power in this sort of independence. So, so I think the balance, what you're saying is, I don't know how I do it, to be honest.
You just have to do it.
I don't know how, I just sometimes have to do it. You just have to do it.
I suppose because, in your position, there's the value of yours and then there's expectation of people around you, how do you actually cope with that, if you don't mind sharing with us?
I mean, there are definitely days that you see there's a bit more stress, right? There's, like I said, I think the stress is the unknown, and I think it's trying to find and figure out and place a word on this unknown and make it known. So I think it's trying to find that battle.
I see. Well, that's very subjective.
And I enjoy all this. I enjoy what I do, Like I enjoy coming here and talking and sharing stories. I enjoy going to the community and on the ground and listening to their stories. And having, I guess a good Malaysian, we like to also eat. So we share food together. So I go down to the community, we have breakfast and lunch together. So it's fun.
I'm glad you have a good time.
Yeah.
So we are going into a Q&A session. So I actually have this one question. I think, wow, I love this question. What's Tuanku's thought about Gen Z and Alpha who are not really interested in leadership? I don't know whether it's a fact or not. Disclaimer, this caused a struggle, especially in youth societies, to get our successor. Walao. What a very, very strong question.
We are always going to be looking at the next generation below us with envy. you know. Our father's generation was the work hard generation. Our generation is the work smart generation, right? So what was it? The Gen Z, Gen Alpha, they are going to be working in a way that's even going to be more smart, more creative, and we're going to be envious of them, no doubt, because we are the ones, the millennials, has sort of laid down the path already of this sort of new technology change, I think.
Absolutely.
So I think their sort of fear of leadership, I think they'll grow out of it. I mean, they have to. Eventually, we won't be here, so they have to lead. So,
I was looking at doctor from representative from KBS here, and she was like, yeah. For all we know, we still have to make sure the youth can lead. Her portfolio as well. She's nervous.
I think about leading is again by giving them the right tools, right? So instilling good values, building on their skills of communication, teamwork, and engaging in the community. I think that's really key.
Right, Tuanku, I'm actually, these questions coming in are very, very unique. But let me find a very good question. Okay, let's talk a bit on the financial concern, Tuanku. So we have someone here asking, as a youth organization leader, supporting communities often face financial concern. Due to lack of community support. What is Tuanku's view, and what kind of advice that you would share with this?
I mean,
context?
In order to overcome sort of financial constraints is you need to sort of really get into your network, talk to them, say like, look, what about my program that maybe you don't like? What can I do better? What do I need to change in order to win your money and support? In a way,
Have to be a bit creative lah.
We need to be creative. We need to be, I think, persistent. Don't necessarily take no for an answer. Find another way to reframe the question in a more positive way. I think positive sort of framing is really important. That to eventually a point where they just can't say no to you anymore.
We have a lot to learn from someone who started out with jiu-jitsu and growing it to say today. Definitely the big idea of how to drive the sponsorship conversation is very important, right? I have another, since I was talking about jiu-jitsu, so somebody was asking, Tuanku, what is the next sports if Tuanku were to promote after football?
Right now we are Selangor youth community itself has been promoting on cycling. So we have cycling programs where we take initiatives of young youths and try to put them in these talent programs. So we brought them to India, where they have the International Cycling Center, where they do get professional coaching and training. So not just the cyclists, but also the coach as well gets sent over. And we do a lot of cycling, what we call criterium events. Again, PJ is one of the biggest supporters on this. And cycling is up there. Other sports, obviously, rackets has now got this new emergence.
Yeah.
So I would love to, venture into the racket side of things. But again, I think those are. I'm open to all sports. I'm open to anything that brings people out to have a healthy, activity.
Some of them here, I think, are youth leader related to sports, and everybody, their eyes were shining and like, which sports Tuanku will go next? So, we have also beyond sports. Somebody was asking from Leroy Ting, beyond sports, what is Tuanku's vision for future-proofing youth employment, given the wave of disruption that will be caused by AI?
I think the way to future-proof this is I think we need to have some educational programs. I think we need to have AI brought into the schools early on. I've been very fortunate that I kind of went back to school this year. I'm doing a fellowship program at Oxford University, and I see the amount of AI already at that level, and I'm like, wow, I wish I had AI when I was in school. And there's like simplicity of like some programs where, you know, taking notes, you know, they're able to record and transcribe whole class notes, and then it takes that transcription and breaks it down into simple notes, flashcards, quizzes. So it's helping the education on the learning, helping people learn. Another great, you know, example of other AIs that I particularly use is Notebook LM. You know, it's a Google AI. Basically, to put it short, you know, you have Excel for numbers. Notebook LM is that for words. So you put in the data, meaning a Word document, a PDF, an email, and then you ask the AI, like ChatGPT, about that data. Wow. And is able to summarize it and able to turn into a podcast as well. Oh. And the AI podcast is actually quite funny because they have some sort of like humor in the podcast.
Wow, that's an element of humanity.
So I think AI is going to help the youth learn faster and deeper. And I think that's what we need to accept, and we need to start initiating AI into the learning space now.
Yeah, I mean, definitely have to caught up again. You know, it's a race against technology, the first to adopt, but sometimes the first to adopt also might not be the winner, because there's a lot of lesson learned as well. And hopefully we can see more traction in Selangor, you know, incorporating AI in whatever program that you are planning to. We have, there's a lot of question here. I'm just like, okay, looking at it. Would you like to answer a bit on Shah Alam? Yeah, I think they are inspired from Shah Alam Youth Club. You know, somebody was asking, what are Tuan Ku's aspiration for the youth in Shah Alam, especially when the community is slowly become an aged population?
Slowly.
Slowly.
Well, I'm hoping this new Shah Alam Stadium development will sort of reinvigorate some new life and a key touching point for people from outside Shah Alam. You know, I always got, you know, teased on when I was in school here, you know, oh, you're from Shah Alam, so far away. Do you need a passport to go there? And stuff like that. Like, you know, is it another country? Because it's so far from KL. You know, there's nothing to do, there's no entertainment, it's very halal city, you could say. But I think that's is also its strength. You know, Shah Alam is a very green, it's very community, and you know, there's actually really good food there. So if you guys, I know all Malaysians like their food, so Shah Alam is a place to go.
What's your favorite food?
There's a restaurant, Hatini. It's like, I think it's Cantonese, actually.
Oh.
Actually, I think we have the biggest Cantonese community in West Malaysia is in Shah Alam.
Yeah, another
so they
part
bring their good food with them.
When another Cantonese community I know is Kampung Baru. Yeah, I've never actually going to Shah Alam for food, because I know Shah Alam have a lot of these cute cafes, you know, cafe hopping kind of concept. Well, just good to know that you like Cantonese food. Yeah. Is it a bit sweet or more on the savory side?
Yeah.
Both?
I mean,
you
both.
like both?
I like both. I like all food. I like all food. I like all Malaysian food.
No, just now the Cantonese was very happy hearing that, and after that you put a disclaimer, everybody was like, so
to be politically correct.
we move a bit to you know, current landscape of youth. You know, somebody was asking from Hannah, Tuan Ku, more than 8,000 SPM students absent from exam last year. SPM, the Form 5 exam. Absent, yeah. Yeah, absent. They don't attend. Wow. They didn't finish the exam. Yeah. So, you know, they give financial issues as one of the reasons. What's your thought on it, Tuan Ku?
I mean, that's really sad, right? To have young people who do not want to complete their sort of education life, and some more, you're saying that if financial constraint is one of the big things, so that means they're having to go look for work instead of do education. I hope this is something that we as a government can take seriously and address the problem. I know in my other foundations, the Yayasan Raja Muda, we look at this sort of area. We look at trying to give scholarships to youths that have fallen through the cracks, to say. We do early interventions at Form 4, and we ask the head teachers, show us the students that are in trouble, because we show them that even though maybe college is not your path, but there are vocational skills that you can learn and make that as your path. And so we give them aptitude tests, we expose them to TVETs, we expose them and we take them to TVET schools to get hands-on experience of the variety of TVETs that they have. And people always think, TVET also includes now coding and games, digital game industry. So that's still part of under TVET as well. So they get very interested.
Yeah. So I suppose your stand is, while it's unfortunate that they drop out from the mainstream, but from Selangor state, especially from the Yayasan, is having a fallback plan so that they have another options on how they can continue on having another perspective, right, of education.
Well, I'm hoping as well with say with the Yayasan that we're also able to drive the conversation in the government on policy making for this, because the problem, like we see, like in Europe, right, especially like Australia, our closest sort of European neighbors, the tradies are very well respected. They're a well respected job. They're well paid. And with the money they have, they're able to have a fulfilling life. They're able to travel and so forth. So we need to be able to adapt our laws and our policies in order to protect trade jobs.
Yeah, it's more of like making sure that everybody is making an inclusive environment where everybody is taken into consideration, right? There's one more question that I love here. Oh, I love this question. Your Highness, what is your take on esports?
Oh, esports. It's been a really interesting journey for me on that one. So Selangor FC, so the company is Red Giant Cinder Berhad. So we ventured into esports, and from a couple years ago, we bought a small team and rebranded it, found a coach, found sort of unknown players, trained them up to the point now they've become world champions twice last
and a
year.
superstar as well.
And they are superstars. They are definitely superstars in their right. So, and I went to one of the games. And I was amazed at, like you said, the crowds, the fans were screaming, were cheering, the way that they developed the screens. It's not just a simple screen, but they had screens that were moving, fire, smoke. It was very engaging.
Yeah, I went
so
there.
I never watched, Mobile Legends, in that way.
Yeah,
normally it's
same
just
here.
watching on YouTube, but watching it in a stadium, an arena like this was a next level. I think esports will have its time. I think it'll be another form of entertainment. I think it will definitely drive initiatives or creativity on the next game. The opportunity to build new games is there, and we're trying to understand the human mechanisms or what attracts us into the game. This element of sort of surprise, unbalancedness, but yet also, I think also it's interesting because you don't need the referees. The computer and the AI is the referee. So it adds another element.
Yeah, I suppose it's more fair. But yeah, I do agree. Esports is a big thing. It turns into a concert hall, and it's much more bigger than a normal concert that you're seeing. Went there in Axiata Arena. I was lucky enough to be part of it. So I went there as a bit surprised. I was like, where am I? Is this still Malaysia? And I think merchandise from Selangor Red Giant, is it under Selangor FC?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, yes.
Fantastic job. I love it. I mean, it turns esport into something much more prestigious, it's totally different.
Yeah. There's similarity, especially with this particular game. It's, heavily played by everyone. I play it, actually, with my friends.
Oh.
So I know the game. So that's why when I had the opportunity, my friends were like, you better do it. Like, you have to get into this, even if you lose. I was like, okay.
I'm glad that you do that because, I know that Indonesia and Philippines is very strong contender in that space. It's good to have Malaysia in it, though, we lost out last year. I was crying real bad that night. Book the ticket. In morning session, they won, and the night, tiba-tiba kalah kan. Nangis teruk kat situ. Well,
sorry, to add on about esports, what's also interesting is like for football, they train 2 hours a day. We have about maybe 20 plus games a year. For esports, they're able to do that in 1 month. They're playing 6 to 9 hours a day, playing 18 matches a month. So the development sort of curve is a lot higher. So yeah, just an interesting fact.
6 hours or 9 hours on the phone, eh? But
They're training. They're not just on the phone. They're training.
They train, right? But I suppose on the phone lah. But I remember that not most of them wearing specs though. Good eyesight. What's the secret of success? We shall interview them later. Maybe a lot of carrot, I suppose. Okay, let me see. Tuanku, would you like a bit of a someone asking a bit of naughty question lah? Your Highness, many people admire your value and dedication. It starts with that, right?
Starts well.
Yeah. If you don't mind sharing, what qualities do you most respect in a potential life partner?
Qualities. I think, I look for someone who's independent, someone who's caring, has the same sort of, similar values as I do, and someone that I could sort of has a shared sense of adventure. I think that's something that my father has given me is a sense of adventure. My father, when I was 5 years old, he sailed around the world for 2 years. Until recently in 2015, 16, he was still driving rally cars from Singapore to Myanmar, for like 20 days. So I think a sense of adventure is
most important part.
Yeah.
I see. Thank you for answering that. I was trying my luck there. Because the question is there, I was like, wow, somebody is really interested in that. Apparently there are people who come here for that kind of question. You are this public figure that people are very interested of, be it on the professional or personal side. Thank you very much. I think that's for on the Q&A. If there's one more question here, let me see. Collaboration. Do you want to answer a bit? Collaborate. That's very unique. Will there be any chance a biopic film produced about you and your life? And what would that movie be named? Wow, these people come with all these unique questions, but chit-chat lah, chill lah. What do you think?
About my life?
Yeah.
I haven't done much yet, so it's kind of hard. I don't know. I mean, I've done sort of like, those biopics in small things, whether, looking, there actually is a video not yet published about me taking my oath to the Sultan in 2016, sort of coming of age, and seeing the whole ceremony behind it. Some interviews, especially in magazines, talking about my passion on the youth, passion about football, and some, my sense of adventure. My most recent adventure would be climbing Kilimanjaro for charity. So, what would my title of my?
It's okay, Tuanku. We'll leave it as
I'm
a
gonna
food
think
for
about
thought.
that.
Yeah, we can sleep on it for a few more years until the time comes, and then we'll get back to that question again. Alright, and as a last question before we close off the session today, what is your message to all in this hall today who aspire to transform their communities and inspire change? There's a last key takeaway to all our audience.
I think the key thing is to stay passionate and to be persistent in what you do. Change starts with you. And it's important that you take every step, no matter how hard it is, no matter how unknown it feels or uncomfortable it feels, is that you take that step and you keep moving. I think I learned this as well in the Army. You never stay still. And every plan never survives first contact, meaning that no matter how much you plan, when you hit life, something's gonna change it. So you have to be adaptable. You have to be also honest about yourself, about your team, in order to be adaptable as well. So collaborating with others and learning from other people's perspectives and trying to be stay humble in that way, I think will be sort of your key to success.
That's a lot of advice, action-packed. Yes. Oh yeah. I don't have mic on the floor, but I think we can hear you though. Would you like to try?
Yeah, I mean, I really think climate change is a really wonderful topic that we should all be discussing as a community. It's happening all around us. It's happening all over the world. We're never going to be able to escape it, but we need to act on it quickly. We need to be able to act on it effectively, and to have the right tools and the right technology for that to happen. So yeah, I would love to talk about environment and climate change.
Yeah, I mean that's great as well. I mean, from Perdana Fellow Alumni Association, we also have our flagship program, which is the Climate Finance Summit, and we're hoping that we can continue the conversation. And this is not the last engagement that we have with you as well. I hope you have a good time today. For me moderating the session, I hope I'm trying my best here to be funny and relatable to everyone. It's a very tough job to do. So thank you so much to all of you, especially to our Royal Highness here. And if you can see a bit of conclusion of the program, we have touched on the youth role, and then we go a bit to what Selangor initiatives, say, the football part. And we start with the inspiration of how Tuanku starting on this journey, and we end it with his aspiration and what are his key takeaway for the youth. The most important part, if I can summarize his advice, which he's been echoing throughout the day, is resilience, having the capabilities to adapt, and most important part is having the collaboration ecosystem and the right team for it. And with that, I hope that you have such a good time here, leave back with a good key takeaway, and hopefully one day we will meet again in Perdana Fellows program or another program where His Royal Highness will be speaking on. With that, I pass over to the MC.
Thank you.
All right, Alhamdulillah, on behalf of everyone, I would like to express our sincere gratitude to His Highness for his valuable insights and for gracing us with his presence today. Thank you also to our dear moderator.